I just finished the Supergirl trailer. And when I tell you that this is hot garbage, and I already knew that it was going to be hot garbage going in, because there's a lot of people on YouTube right now that are saying, "Oh, I really wanted to like this. I really wanted to, I really wanted this movie to be good." When they first announced this movie and announced that this was being dropped right after Superman, being the next movie in the DCU timeline, I knew it was going to be hot garbage from the jump. I knew it was going to be bad from the jump, and that they're going to drop us some little crumbs. They're going to give us just a little bit of what we want with Jason Momoa, who we've been asking for at least 15 years to play Lobo. This is a movie that is 10 years too late at the minimum, because the agenda would have fit perfectly right into 10 years ago, and this movie would have been automatically at least $800 million movie. Easily. But we've caught on to the game, especially with James Gunn. It took us a little bit. With Superman, we were like, something doesn't feel right here. And then with Peacemaker, we were like, oh yeah, James Gunn got to go. He's got to go. He doesn't understand the objective here. He does not understand the assignment. And he does not understand the DC fan base. What are we staring at right here? We're staring at Krypton. Oh, not Krypton, I'm sorry. Crypto, the dog, pissing on Superman on a newspaper, or an image of Superman on a newspaper. Now, to some people, or maybe to most people, we would say, yeah, all right, it's neither here nor there, whatever. Ha ha, he he, funny, whatever. But we get the clear message. This isn't the first time, this isn't the only time in the trailer that Superman gets pissed on. Let me just tell you that right now. James Gunn is the wrong guy for DC for a lot of reasons, but I'll tell you the main reason. Did he make the right decision in making the first DCU movie, Superman? Yes. But that was the only right decision that he made. He completely emasculated Superman in his own movie. And then you bring in Supergirl, and the last thing she says to Superman in his own movie is calling him a bitch. Then we see in the first, how many seconds are we in? 11 seconds of the trailer. You got Crypto pissing on a newspaper showing Superman's face. Then, later on in the trailer, because I can't play, copyright reasons, you can't hear the music. By the way, I don't know if they still, and this is why I'm probably going to title this video, they still haven't learned their lesson. Because, why? And this has nothing to do with, the movie or anything. This has to do with just making trailers. Why are we still getting 80s music in trailers? It's not cool anymore. We've overdone it. Can we think of anything else? Anything else other than trying to remix rap songs and put them in every black movie trailer, every trailer for a black movie, and then remixing 80s music, or just straight up putting the 80s songs, 80s classics into these trailers? We gotta chill, man. There's so much music and so many things you can do with trailers between the years, or between the decades of 1990 and 2020s. Tons of music. And if you don't want to do actual songs with, lyrics or real songs or whatever, make your own music. Make some beats or something. I don't know, man, but we got to stop this 80s, whatever we're doing with these 80s songs, because it's really annoying. That was predictable. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people saying that this looks like another Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I can definitely see that, and I kind of agree. I try to take my Marvel lenses off when I'm watching DC movies, but again, we're talking about James Gunn. We're talking about a guy that I held to high regard. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, or hell, even a year and a half ago, I would have said, man, James Gunn. Sounds like somebody else I held a high regard when it came to their creativity. Just a year and a half ago, if you would have asked me if I still believe in him, I would have said, yes, his name is Triple H. I'm going to try not to make this about wrestling. I promise. But later on in this trailer, because if Crypto pissing on Superman ain't enough, I want you guys to see this part right here. This, because I'm going to show you a quote later. Actually, matter of fact, let me just go to the quote now. I'm going to go to this quote real quick because I want you guys to see it. This is coming straight from the Hollywood Reporter article that he posted earlier. James Gunn on the Supergirl movie. So many times female superheroes are so perfect. She's not at all. Like male superheroes have been allowed to be for a while. Does this sound like a guy that you want to be the head of your studios when making superhero movies? Does this sound like a guy that should be anywhere near this movie? Anywhere near this IP? No. But we know exactly why they picked Supergirl. We know exactly why they picked this version of Supergirl as well. Blondie, drunk girl. This is basically Euphoria. Like you just picked out a Euphoria character and put her on Krypton, which I think we saw in the trailer. We saw Krypton actually blow up and the descension of that. But that's basically what you're doing. You're just basically taking, like, what's the closest thing we can get to a Euphoria character, one of the horrors from Euphoria, and put them into a DC product. Oh, that's right, Supergirl. She has that one storyline, right? Yeah, let's do that one. Last thing I want to watch. Now, Millie Alcock, young Rhaenyra Targaryen. She's hot. She's good to look at. I'm not gonna lie, and she's a good actress. But at the same time, doesn't mean this is gonna be a good movie. At the same time, doesn't mean that whatever we're gonna be sitting down here watching in June of next year is really going to get us excited for whatever the next DC product is. Because I feel like after Superman, it should have been Batman. But we know exactly why they didn't do Batman, and I'm actually glad that we didn't get Batman from James Gunn yet, and that we're nowhere close to that yet. Because one, he might not even last as the head of DC after his contract is up, if they even wait until his contract is up, to the end of his contract. And two, this dude just got caught saying, back in September, so 3 months ago, saying that his favorite character from the Batman universe, and of all the Batman characters, the one that he feels like is underrated, which I don't feel like he's underrated at all, but is Jim Gordon. A guy who had great focus in the Dark Knight trilogy. So I don't know where he's getting off on that. But again, whatever. A guy that pretty much had his own show with Gotham, by the way. And nonetheless, we're sitting here talking about Supergirl. I don't want to get all worked up because of Batman. But let me go ahead and just show you guys where James Gunn, he wants to say, oh, we get so many perfect female characters, and she's not going to be perfect at all. In fact, she's going to be the complete opposite. Well, let me show you guys where I always say I don't want to sound like a broken record. I always say I don't want to continue to use the same words and the same stuff. But my vocabulary is very limited. Let's just be honest. It is. I'm not afraid to tell you. My vocab is very limited. And when I say girl boss, I truly mean this shit.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well for you guys.
So you guys see what I mean? So how are you gonna say that the female characters are imperfect, or all these other female characters are perfect? Bro, this is Guardians of the Galaxy. But I mean, I've been hearing a lot of people say this is Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm gonna go one further. I'm gonna say this is Birds of Prey. This movie is going to be Birds of Prey bad. And it's got all the ingredients. It's got pretty much an all-female cast. And the one guy you have is Jason Momoa as Lobo, which you got a very, very, like, half a second of a peek of Momoa. Bruh. So we get the teaser, and this is literally all we get from Lobo. This is the only thing that any fan wanted to see at the Supergirl trailer, and this is all we fucking got. Half a second. Literally half a second. If you blink, you will miss this shot. But don't worry, we have imperfect Supergirl here to save us.
He sees the good in everyone, and I see the truth.
You gotta be shitting me. So the little girl asks her, again, this reminds me so much of Birds of Prey, because again, they're trying to rescue a little girl in that movie too. All female cast trying to rescue another girl. This one, she's saving a girl or helping get a girl somewhere. Who knows what the fucking storyline is. But it's Supergirl and another little girl. She asks her, what was Superman like? And that's what she says. He tries to see the good in everyone, and I see the truth. So yes, they pissed on Superman not once but twice in this trailer. Sorry, not sorry, but that is the truth of what they did and what James Gunn did. It's crazy the fact that they think they can still do this and still make money. This ain't gonna do shit. You better hope people turn out for Lobo, and you better hope that this is a good storyline. I could be wrong that this could possibly be one of the best comic book movies ever made. I highly doubt it. It's already put a bad taste in so many people's mouths what James Gunn has done to not just the DC universe, but to comic book movies in general. And then to see this teaser, trailer, whatever you want to call it. Bruh. This is bad. On all fronts. On all fronts. Because you shouldn't have made this movie. You shouldn't have put it as a second DCU movie in theaters. This looks like a CW show at best. And again, no disrespect to young Rhaenyra Targaryen, but because she's a great actress, but at the end of the day, this movie looks awful. Absolutely awful. And before we get out of here, I just want to recognize something, because this comes from Cosmic Book News. I don't want to get the name wrong. I'm about to say comic book news, but Netflix considers Warner Brothers games worthless and James Gunn's DCU 2. So I went down here and I had to read a little bit of this. But it says, now there's also a question of whether Netflix viewed Warner Brothers games as essentially worthless, as reports indicate the company assigned little to no value to the division during its bid. But yeah, there's people on the internet saying that James Gunn, Supergirl has to be a success for James Gunn to keep his job. Fam, I don't know if James Gunn is keeping his job regardless. Let's just keep it a buck, bro. And that dismissive attitude may extend it even further, because Netflix didn't mention James Gunn or the DCU at all when outlining what excitement they had about their new DC properties. So this is what we're thinking. This is what we're thinking now. I think people, what they need to do, and it doesn't matter whether you're a normie, it doesn't matter whether you're a fan, or it doesn't matter whether you're a stan. If you're in any one of those three categories, it doesn't matter. But what I think we all need to do is to actually hurt them in their fucking pockets. This is Captain Marvel all over again. It gives me those vibes. It gives me, except even worse, this gives me like Marvel's vibes. The sequel. Where it's like, why the fuck are we doing this movie? And why aren't you guys reading the room correctly? It's only one of two reasons. They aren't reading the room, or they just don't give a fuck. Because when I watched that Supergirl trailer, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, I hate to sound like the bad guy, but I'm probably one of the very few people that watched that trailer and will admit to everyone I went into that trailer wanting to hate it. I went into that trailer like, oh, here we go, Supergirl. But I'm off of work today. Corn got time today. You already know. But I like being proved wrong. I like going into a movie and saying, man, I really have very low expectations for this. And it actually wows me. And it's actually pretty good. I'm like, wow, that was actually pretty good. That's what Sinners did. I still think Sinners is way overhyped, and there's a whole fucking community behind it now that has just taken that movie and ran with it for obvious reasons. But that was a movie where I went in and I was like, well, everybody's saying it's good. I don't think it's good. I think it's going to be this. It's going to be that. And sure enough, I watched the movie and I was like, oh, wow, this was actually a well-done movie. It ain't the greatest thing since like sliced bread. Probably not even the greatest movie that came out all year. But it was a good movie. And I went into Supergirl trailer saying to myself, man, I don't think it's going to be good. I even said yesterday when they came out with the poster, I said this movie's going to be so bad. And then you got somebody that want to comment with a monkey trying to type on a computer. And it's like, fam, you can do that all day, but the proof is in the fucking pudding. I don't say this shit just to fucking say it. I say it because I've been watching these type of movies my whole fucking life. I've been watching the shows my whole fucking life. So you like, I'm not a comic book nerd guy that sat and read all the stories and stuff like that. That just wasn't my thing. But I respect it, obviously, because that's the source material. The original source material for most of what we see on screen, or supposed to be seeing on screen. But now you have these creators just going their own way. And that's fine and dandy if you can still respect. I don't know why I did that. And that's all fine and dandy if you can still respect the source material, but they don't. And then in about 10 or so years ago, and the real comic book nerds can tell you it was probably even further back than that. But when I started even hearing about the shit 10 or so years ago, about how some of the comics were changing the characters into being gay, trans, and all this other stuff, and now it's being woke and pandering and all these different, and Supergirl was one of them. Woman of Tomorrow. They base it off of a Tom King fucking comic book. It's gonna be bad. But what do I know, man? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's your boy Corn, and I am very disappointed.